Whoa. Hello there. We're good. We made it. We're safe. I feel like I am somewhat more timely on today's brewer than I usually am. This is a brewer that released a couple of months ago, and initially I didn't pay it too much heed. However, I was recently in a situation where it made sense to add it into my shopping cart. I picked up a version, spent some time with it, and I thought we might like to spend some time with it today. So, without further ado, let's take a peek at the OXO Rapid Brewer. I find it so difficult to say brewer. It's brewer. It kind of just like gets chewed up and spit out. Dun, 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 dun. Here is the Rapid Brewer. What we're gonna do today is first of all talk about the kind of construction, make, and components of this brewer, and then we're gonna brew 2 different types of coffee with it. Should be very fun. Let's get started. The first thing we have here is going to be your coffee brewing cup or your catch cup. Got a nice little spout on it, and it's made out of a plastic that is called Triton Renew. Most of the components of this, specifically this catch cup and also kind of the main water chamber, are made out of Triton Renew. It's a plastic that's made, I think, up to 50% with like recycled plastic waste. This is a brewer that does hot brewing, so I'll leave it up to your judgment and preference on what your plastic to hot water comfortability is. However, that's this piece. We're doing the less exciting stuff first. This brewer comes with a small tamp, and then we have the primary body, which breaks down into several different parts. Starting off at the bottom here, this is going to be your coffee chamber that you will tamp your grounds into. It has a stainless steel, very, very fine metal filter on the bottom. And then inside, if you can see, it has markings as to where your coffee level should be for your 2 temperatures of brewing. Moving right along here. This is where your water is going to be placed into, and you'll notice on the bottom, once more, we have this sort of shower head screen that is somewhat reminiscent of something like a pulsar or a mellow drip. It's going to allow for an even dispersion of the water that you add up here over your bed of coffee. And lastly, we have this bit, and this is where the plunger comes in that you'll eventually be plunging to force that water through the bed of coffee. In fact, you see this little part up here, simply press down, twist slightly, and you get this. It's very satisfying. I've spent most of my day doing this over and over and over again. Now, this is a brewer that costs about $40. So as far as coffee brewers go, this is definitely in the very, very affordable range. But what it brews, it's not espresso, not filter, it brews a coffee concentrate, whether you want it to be cold or hot. So let me go grab some ground coffee and we'll make both some cold and some hot coffee. I'll be right back. I want to give a huge thank you to Trade for sponsoring today's video. As many of you know, Trade is the US's #1 rated specialty coffee marketplace, with coffees hand-selected from local roasters all over the country. Your coffee subscription can be tailored to fit your exact needs, from different roast profiles to your exact delivery schedule. But as the holiday season approaches and you start to wonder what you'll get for your loved ones this year, you don't have to look any further than Trade's gifting options. They've partnered with roasters to create gift boxes like this peppermint mocha kit that I have right now, but this is only the beginning. There's also an espresso martini kit, vanilla latte, cold brew, and more. Additionally, you can gift personalized subscriptions, which, I know this is cheesy, is the gift that quite literally keeps on giving. Whether it's a full year of coffee, 6 months, 3 months, or a gift box that catches your eye, Trade has something for everyone. So, if you're ready to knock some names off your shopping list early, Trade has got you covered with the gift of great coffee. Visit drinktrade.com/MDC to get started on your holiday shopping early. That's drinktrade.com/MDC or the top link in the description. First things first, let's talk about grind size. OXO recommends using a fine grind that is somewhere in between espresso and pour over. I think this definitely needs something that is closer to espresso than anything else. I find get to like your espresso range on your grinder and then just like loosen up a little bit seems to be the best spot. If it's helpful, let me show you my grinds. This is all very subjective to the type of coffee you're using, your grinder, like all sorts of things. But if it's helpful, you can really see how fine I've gone here. Okay, now my hand is covered in coffee. We could brew hot or cold. Let's go hot first. Now, one of the things I really like about this brewer is kind of its accessibility. Components, I mentioned earlier the fact that there are markings on the inside of here for both of your temperature methods, so you can either follow the markings inside when filling up your brewer with coffee, or you can use the recommended amounts, which I've found to work really well, which for hot coffee is going to be about 20 grams of ground coffee. First things first, simply transfer that all in there and treat this like a portafilter. We'll level out our bed, and then we'll tamp nice and straight down, applying nice, even pressure. This is a plastic tamp, but they have definitely provided some sort of like weighted material or weighting in here that makes it feel a bit more substantial. It's pretty nice to use. Okie dokie. Let's screw all our things back together. Similarly to that bottom component, you'll notice our water chamber has a marking line on here. This is the fill line for both your hot and your cold brewing. This is the line that marks 160 mils, so you can either use this as guidance or weigh out 160 mils. Let's be ultra precise right now. We've got water at about 195 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll fill to 160. Ooh, 161.3. I won't tell if you don't. Okay, we don't really need our scale anymore, so I'll very gently remove this. We'll screw back on the top. And now for brewing hot coffee, I find about 2 minutes is a good amount, so it's very loud. We'll set a timer and we'll come back at 2 minutes. You may notice, depending on the coarse or fineness of your grind size, a few like tiny drops make it through into the brewing chamber. That's totally fine. However, we'll be doing a majority of our plunging afterwards, so if you see a lot of coffee transferring down into the brewing chamber, it may be a sign that you need to grind finer next time. Very hard to say. Grind finer. Find grinder. Anyways, I'll be right back in 2 minutes. Okay, we are right about, gonna be loud, sorry. We are at 2 minutes, and all we're simply gonna do is plunge until all our water is passed through. I'm gonna get myself a little rag, or if you have a cup, something that we can set this on afterwards. Well, let's get started. Again, twist to release the pump, and then slow and steady presses. It's like a less stressful AeroPress. Now, I like to press until I see all that water off of the top chamber, and then I don't like to press much further than that. I'm gonna let it fully pass through. You'll usually hear kind of a light hissing sound. Right then, I'll remove that and set it to the side. Okay, we have some coffee concentrate. I suppose if one was needing to feel very powerful, could drink it out of the catch cup. Let's go get a better accustomed cup for this. Now, as I mentioned before, this does not brew filter coffee. It does not brew espresso. It brews something right in the middle, something that needs diluting, usually to a 1-to-2 ratio or a 1-to-3 ratio, based on your preference. We could drink this right now. It's very powerful. Perhaps a bit unpleasant to drink on its own. Let's dilute it down. Now that puck in there retained a bit of that water, so we're left with about like 115 mils of liquid. So let's just double it up. Let's add another 115 mils. Cheers. All in all, a pretty decently tasty cup of coffee. I think coffees that are made using a coffee concentrate always have, I find that they have a little less nuance in flavor than perhaps if you brewed the coffee straight as a pour over, but still, all in all, this is very nice. Okay, we have to make a few slight adjustments to brew cold coffee, so let me clean this and we'll be right back. This is a good point to note that one of the nice things about this brewer, because it doesn't have any electronic parts and it is primarily made out of plastic, is that all of the components, except for this top plunger section, are dishwasher safe. So if you would prefer not to hand wash, you don't have to. I find there's not much to do with this middle chunk here because it really has only come in contact with water. You can simply dry it and call it good. And then in here, you simply have your espresso puck, your coffee puck. Really any puck feels like an espresso puck, but you have your ground coffee in here, you knock it out, rinse it, give it a wipe, a clean, however you like, and you're good to go. So safe to say cleanup, pretty simple. All in all, I think cleanup just took like a minute and a half at most. Okay. Cold coffee. The primary things we are going to be changing here in order to brew our cold concentrate is going to be the dose of coffee we're going to be starting with, which instead of 20 grams is going to be 40, so doubling it, or you could follow the markings on the inside, and then our brew time. We used about 2 minutes last time. We're going to go for a full 5 minutes this time around. Otherwise, steps are functionally the same. Let's add our coffee. Still using that fine grind size. Shake it out lightly, get it even, tamp straight down, and then we assemble. This time we're going to be using cold or room temperature water, and I'm just going to use that marker that we have for this. Five minutes on the clock. I'll see you soon. 5 more seconds. We'll wait. Okay, let's plunge. Once more, gentle plunges until you see all the water, vacate that, let it rest for a second as that water continues to pass through. And where did I put my rag? Okay, let's continue. And now we have some cold concentrate. This time, let's dilute over ice. We've retained about 130 mils of our liquid, so let's double that. Cheers. So let's talk about final thoughts now that we have brewed some coffee. I think one of the things that I really like about this is that this really feels like a good solution for a travel brewer. First of all, the price point is pretty low, which is nice, especially with the fact that this is primarily plastic components. Second of all, this has a lot of accessibility features designed into it. And by accessibility, I mean like accessibility to coffee brewing that I think is really useful for your average person. First of all the inclusions of measurings and markings inside make this so that if you don't want to take a scale with you, you don't have to. Additionally, if you want to brew cool, you can do that. Again, I also really like the fact that we don't have any electronic parts. So charging, batteries, all those things, you don't really have to think about that if you're taking this with you. One of the things that is also kind of nifty about this is that it becomes fairly compact, fairly easily. This cup here fits on the top easily, and if you really want to, you can even stick the tamp inside the water chamber. Now, one of the chief downsides of this brewer, I think, is really going to come down to your preference in the type of coffee that it produces. Again, this is not filter coffee, this is not espresso, this is somewhere in between. And so it's really going to depend on both the quality of coffee that you're using, but also your level of dilution. I find with coffee concentrates, especially that are made using this type of method or similar methods, you tend to lose a lot of nuance and flavor. You tend to kind of get the same flavor every time, regardless of the coffee. Again, it can change slightly as you adjust variables, but ultimately it's kind of like this straight coffee flavor. Texture usually tends to be pretty good. However, if that is something that you're okay with, I think this is a really practical solution. This is a brewer I could probably see myself packing into my carry-on very, very comfortably. And the fact that rapid coffee brewing, portable coffee brewing, compact, travel, whatever word you want to use, brewing has improved so much since the last time we looked at all of these. That does make me very happy. It gives me a lot of hope for the future. So I hope this was fun for you all. These sorts of kind of, you know, like very particular use case brewers I think are always so fun, because once you fully go down this sort of coffee hobby, you tend to care about all these individual scenarios. And I think this does have a good scenario that this works in. So I think I'll take my hot coffee and go. It's raining outside and this seems very cozy. Regardless, I hope this was fun and educational for some of you. In the meantime, my name is Morgan. You can find me here on YouTube plus Shorts or on TikTok or Instagram every single day. If you want to find more recipes, tips, brewers, all sorts of things, you can go to morgandrinkscoffee.com. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay, goodbye everyone. I'll see you next time.